Sleepy Hollow Season 2, Episode 17, Awakening. Now, just as I expected and really hoped for, the season finale is definitely going to be a really great episode, and it had an amazing first part to it, and, this episode did two really big things that I wasn't expecting, and one thing we saw in the preview, and that was Katrina going evil, which I wasn't 100% sure. I mean, it seemed like it was pretty legit, but with previews, you always have to take them with a grain of salt, because it could be any number of things that we don't see in the preview, because they're like 30 seconds long, with, out of 45 minutes worth of material. But unfortunately, Katrina does kind of go full dark side in this episode, and it was just crazy. Like, she didn't really give a crap about killing Abbie in the one scene when she blew up the truck. She, when she loses Henry, which was another huge thing, that was probably the biggest surprise for me. Like, even if in the preview they didn't show Katrina going, full on evil, I really thought that Henry was going to be the big villain, even with this being the end of the season. I thought he would kind of set up what he wanted, and we will learn officially what he wants to do, which technically we found out in this episode, and then he would go on to be the main villain. Like, there would be some really big thing that happened in the season finale, but he would, they'd probably stop him temporarily at least, and he'd go on to become the main villain for season 3. And based on this episode, with him being killed off and what happened afterwards, it seems like Katrina's going to be the actual main villain for season 3, which is mind-blowing to even remotely consider after everything we've seen in the series. And it was crazy to see her take this transition from, the character that she was, being, trapped in purgatory initially and then coming out and helping the team and stuff, to, all within this season, going from helping the team and, being a part of the modern society and stuff, to becoming possibly the next villain in season 3. But it was really fun to watch. It was crazy to see them kill off Henry. Like I said, I was incredibly surprised by that one. It was really cool to see that happen, because it's like, with him gone, a lot of my speculations vanished, because he obviously can't be the main villain anymore, and it was the catalyst for Katrina using the Traveler spell, which sent herself as well as Abbie back in time, which I didn't expect either. I figured they just transported somewhere else. I didn't know she was doing the Traveler spell. But that was really cool, and now I don't know if the entire season finale will take place in the past, which it probably will. I would love to see some present-based stuff, especially since we got the entire storyline with Irving and Jenny, where Jenny had to find some way she was going to try to save Irving. Unfortunately, when Henry died, it basically released the evil spirit that was within Irving, so he's back to his normal self, and once again his storyline is kind of going up, a little bit. I mean, who knows what's going to happen with the season finale? Like, it's going to change the entire storyline. Like, who knows how that's going to work? But it was cool to see that he didn't have to be turned to stone. I thought it would have been a very interesting thing, because if he got turned to stone, then that definitely would have meant they would have found a way 100% to release people from stone, which still would have been great. Like, it was cool to see that didn't have to happen, because if it did, that would have meant, his character would officially be out of the show, for who knows how long, and there would have to be some reason behind that. I don't think they just kind of write him out of the show and then be like, see you, Orlando Jones. But I enjoyed that. It was cool. He was pretty cool in this episode as, like, sort of the evil kind of Terminator mode he was in, and he had, like, the it wasn't a katana, it wasn't long enough, and it was like a wakizashi, so that's why he was using one hand with it and stuff. And it was kind of funny, I noticed, when they got into sort of the place where they would normally hold the Headless Horseman, when Jenny was behind the window and Irving put, like, the blade up against the, he put it up against the window, you could see that it was, like, incredibly thick, which I thought was funny, because it's like, he's not going to be able to hurt anybody with that thing as thick as the end of the blade was. I thought it was kind of funny. But I thought it was a really cool moment. Like, them having their own storyline and Jenny being the one to try to work with them. Like, Abbie and Ichabod are obviously the witnesses, so they have their own set storyline. But Jenny still had her own thing where she's trying to find some way to stop Irving without killing him, and she, they didn't show it, but she mentioned how she helped his family escape and stuff after he told her to do that and protect them from his evil version, which clearly took over in this episode. But I loved it. I thought it was really cool. It was a nice, bits and pieces here and there where they're having like their back and forth. They had like the little firefight in the very beginning. Jenny shot him and obviously he just poof, he popped right back up. But it was nice. It was good to see that Henry was defeated before Jenny had to take such an extreme measure, and we did lose Irving for who knows how long in season 3 before they were able to get him out of the stone. And like I said, if they had done it that way, it would have kind of solidified the fact that they would find a cure. But I do still hope that that's the case, because they do have a huge resource that they can tap into if they find this cure and they're able to release their aunt and turn her back into her normal self and stuff like that. So, that's still a possibility. They mentioned it. This was the first time they mentioned it since that episode happened. So that is something that they kind of introduced to us as viewers. So it's like it probably will come back in the future. They'll find a definitive answer to people being turned to stone, and then they'll be able to, break the casing or whatever and keep people alive. So I'm excited for that if it happens in season 3, but either way, it's a little seed they put in there, so they definitely have it now. They've introduced the fact that it might happen, so they can totally drop it in any episode next season. But I loved it. I mean, I feel like there's not much that I can say outside of like the really big moments, because obviously it was just like the whole episode with those really big moments until, of course, the very end. I thought it was going to be a fairly simple episode. I actually forgot that Katrina really went dark side in this episode. But I thought there was going to be a much bigger focus on them doing the witch coven and turning people into witches. But it kind of faded towards the end, mostly because of them actually succeeding in stopping Henry and Katrina from creating the witch coven. But when the end of the episode happened and Henry was killed off, I really thought Katrina was still going on with the coven, and then of course it's like, here's a little twist, she was actually doing the traveler's spell instead, which she may have mentioned and I just totally missed that, but I thought she was going on with the spell. But I think the concept of them having had like a new coven, in the 21st century, I think that's really well done. I thought it was a cool concept that may or may not come back depending on how things go in the season finale, and if, who knows if Katrina will even make it out of this. I have to assume Abbie and Ichabod will. The big thing is like who'll make the final sacrifice, but it could be, it could end up being Katrina and she might not survive. And if it was Abbie or Ichabod, that would be insane. Like, I wouldn't know what to possibly expect for season 3 if one of them gets killed off, or even with that working out, who knows what's going to happen, because Abbie's still in the past. I mean, there could be a spell to send people into the future. I believe, if I remember right, the Traveler spell was only to send yourself back in time. And it may have been to jump around time in general, and I think that might have been how it works. But she's still not a witch, and obviously Katrina is not going to do a single thing to help her out, so I don't know what to expect. Like, I'm incredibly excited for the season finale. I was blown away by Henry actually getting killed off, because I think since he came back, since they showed he was alive, I was just like, I don't know who's going to be the villain. There isn't a villain because Malik is dead, and I was like, it has to be Henry, because even though he did save them from Malik at the end, there was still a huge question, like, what's he going to do now if he's not going to be the villain? And he was going to be the villain, and then he died, and now it's going to be Katrina, and, that's going to be insane. Like, I was really surprised by that. She went kind of full evil, and now she's in the past, and both Abbie and Katrina are kind of working to get to Ichabod first, and obviously Katrina wants to take him out because she blames him for not being there, or not being able to, raise their son and everything like that. So I'm excited for this season finale. It's not really anything I can say that won't be me repeating myself for like the 8th time, but obviously I loved it. Of course, I want to know what you guys thought, so please comment below, let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts, and just what do you guys think is going to happen in the season finale, because there's, aside from the simple fact that it's kind of a race to either help Ichabod or kill Ichabod, there are a million things like, time travel stuff, like butterfly effect type things, where if one little thing changes, they will rewrite history. And obviously the fact that Ichabod is leaving whatever battle he's in, it could be something irrelevant. That's probably how they'll write it. but it could be something important too. And then, you know, he's going to talk to Abbie and weird time travel effect type stuff. But who knows? I don't have any real guesses aside from Abbie and Ichabod are going to survive. If they don't, I don't know what to expect for this show, but I think it's going to be an amazing season finale. Of course, I want to know what you guys think. So, like I said, please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.